Go. Today's team focus, we are talking, everybody, the Cleveland Browns. I think that there was some hype, a little bit of hype before last season, just a little bit, with getting Odell Beckham Jr., reuniting him with Jarvis Landry, Baker Mayfield entering his sophomore season. What a disaster. Is that a fair word? Would you describe, disaster when it came to the Cleveland Browns season? I mentioned it in my note to the company. I said, how do you turn a frown upside down if you're a Cleveland Browns fan? So we're talking their off season. We're talking about priorities. We're talking about changing the culture of that organization. Jarrett Payton, Jack Doles. I'm JB Buno. Let's discuss it. Let's break it down. Reinvigorating the Cleveland Browns with new life and getting Baker Mayfield back on track. What say you?
Yeah, Jared, I know last year the Browns won the offseason.
Yes, they did.
Why didn't they win the regular season?
Because Freddie Kitchens just probably wasn't the best thing for that team. And you had to say bye-bye and start new and start fresh. I think offensively, you have all these different names, but the one thing that you have to get better at, and I think the Browns have to figure out, is get better on the offensive line. They have to get better in the trenches. If they don't, there is at times where Baker Mayfield felt like he was uncomfortable back in that pocket. When you have a guy that can throw, especially in one-on-one coverage like that with him, when you have these guys on the outside, take advantage of it. If he can't see those guys to take advantage of it, Jack, he's on his back. And so you can't have your quarterback, your franchise quarterback, feeling frustrated in the pocket. They got to get better up front.
How does it play in a locker room when a guy we saw Baker Mayfield every time you turned on your TV, he's on a commercial. When he's doing all that, everybody wants to be able to make as much as they can while they can. But does that do things in a locker room?
A little bit.
When a guy's not producing?
Yeah, when you're not producing and you're not winning. And I think that's the issue. When you're not winning, it becomes – we were seeing him all season long. He was on a lot of commercials. Every time you turn on Sunday, you saw him. And I think they have to be able to fix that. Also, yes, we did talk about Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr., two unbelievable receivers, two unbelievable talents. They have to find a way to get another receiver. They need a third wide receiver. And I don't know whether it's, to me, it's going out and find one in the draft to be able to kind of complement those guys and also be kind of an eye that other defenses have to figure out how to stop those two, where then that third receiver can be the guy that's getting off, making some plays.
And I want to bring this up because we see him on our screen. Myles Garrett, obviously such a dynamic playmaker for them on defense. How big of the carryover is it into next season when they're trying to establish an identity in that locker room, but that's going to loom over into next season with what happened with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I believe in this league, we've seen it before, and we've seen it often where things happen, and it's terrible, Jack. Where you see an incident happen like we saw against the Steelers. Guys get second chances. It's what do you do with that second chance or that second opportunity? Can you turn it around and turn that into something positive and maybe learn from those mistakes? And we've seen guys that get opportunities. If you're trying to change a culture, that's probably going to be one of the focal points of, new coaching coming in and trying to change a culture. If he's an unbelievable talent, one of those generational talents, sometimes that stuff gets looked over. I don't know if it should be. I'm just telling you from what I've seen in previous situations.
This may be an obvious question, but this kind of seems like this is more of a locker room issue than an on-the-field issue for this team.
Yeah, it could be, but it's also about culture, and you're trying to create a culture inside of a locker room. And what culture and what precedent? What precedent are you trying to set here? And I look at it going, you have a guy that's really good at football. He made a mistake, a bad mistake, something that you don't want to see, and it shouldn't be seen on TV. But then I also see the flip side as well, is that this game that they play and the game that I played, when you walk in between those lines, it's hard to switch that switch on and off. Some guys just don't know how to do it, and that's one of my biggest issues of seeing this game. It's a violent sport that we play.
All right, you just got hired as the head coach of the Browns. How do you change the culture? What's the first thing you do? Are you sitting down one-on-one with these guys, delivering a message? Are you gathering them as a team? How is it that you get that message across that this has got to change, and then this change will make us better?
Well, it starts from the top down. I think even with the well-known name guys, a guy like Odell Beckham, it seems like he tapered off a little bit, not having the season we probably expected it to have in his first year in Cleveland, but making sure that he's setting the tempo. The well-named guys have to set the tempo by the way that they work. And if they can do that, it changes everything. In Chicago, we saw it when Khalil Mack put on a Bears jersey. He's one of the highest paid guys in the NFL, and he was out there working that way, and everybody fell in line. If you're a well-named guy, you're a star, if you show that you're working, everybody else will follow suit. And if they're not, they're going to be out of town.
When the draft comes around, are you taking that receiver in the first round, or are you going after some O-line help?
I mean, I think you can go O-line help, but David Njoku as well, injuries last season, they got to figure out a way. A tight end is so big for this offense. I know it's in every offense, JB, but in this offense, it's huge because that takes away. If that guy can be – that tight end can do his thing, and you know how versatile these guys are now? Now the matchup problem is we got to worry about this tight end. Oh, well, we got to worry about Jarvis Landry. Oh, well, we got to worry about Odell Beckham. That's the problem that offenses are trying to create. That's what the Browns are trying to create.
I'm gonna propose a crazy idea.
What up?
What can you package Odell and get that tight end and get a little bit of help in some other key areas? Because really, I mean, is the Odell plus Baker dynamic really gonna flourish? Is that something that's going to happen in Cleveland? Is that dynamic ever gonna work?
I'm gonna give it time.
Okay.
I gotta give it time.
Okay.
JB,
yeah,
Jack, we've never seen this. That guy is so special. He's still special. But
talking about Baker or Odell?
Odell.
Okay.
Odell is that special that he is a guy, and at that position, you're not going to win Super Bowls with just a receiver, but he's that piece that you still have to keep now because he's still a big-time talent.
Because, hey, the LSU thing was revealing what he did in the locker room. Maybe you need to get some characters out of the locker room.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I
forgot about that, JB. That's
just gonna,
we're talking about culture change.
Culture change, right?
Hasn't started yet.
Myles Garrett, Odell Beckham. Baker, grabbing his, I want
to know what Browns fans think. Because this is on them because we're talking about getting rid of household name guys.
Browns fans, tweet at us. If you're joining us from one of the Ohio markets, Browns markets out there, tweet at Jarrett Payton, myself, Jack Doles, and Big Game Bound, the Big Game Bound page on Twitter. We will give you a shout out on the show because the Browns are such a fascination to me with how it was supposed to go right, but then of course, in Cleveland Brown fashion. I am so sorry to all the diehards out there, the Browns diehards out there, but it was just such a letdown last season. I think that they had some big nationally televised games. ESPN and others were kind of building them up, and then they were irrelevant by the second half of the season.
Now, Jarrett, you just talked about patience, but the Browns have been known to make changes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the fan base was screaming for Freddie Kitchens' head halfway through the season or, week 4. How patient can you be if you're in their situation?
I mean, right now, I feel like you have to. You put this team together for a reason. It didn't work out the way that it was supposed to in year 1 with all these guys, and I still think they got to figure it out. They got a new head coach already, if I'm not mistaken. So now you got to figure out how to be able to take the pieces that you have. Kevin Stefanski. Yep. And maybe a younger coach that comes in with a different swag and also a different vision. Maybe that's what everybody else is doing that in the league.
I know, but just because one team is successful with that young gun doesn't mean that every team is going to be successful with that model. Don't you need don't you need someone who's going to go in there and command respect?
JB, that doesn't always work either, man.
It doesn't work always. Yeah, it doesn't.
Because the Bears did that with John Fox, thinking that was going to be the guy that has all the experience. It didn't work out. It's a coin flip with these coaches.
Yeah.
You got to have the right. You have to have the right base of guys and the talent to be able to see if it can flourish. And so you just never know.
Hey, listen, the young gun head coach will earn respect if you get off to the right start next year for the Cleveland Browns, right? Kevin Stefanski will immediately earn locker room respect if they get off to a banging start in next year.
It's never year 1 with these younger coaches.
Right.
It's year 2. what can you do in year 2, and do you make it past year 1? That's another thing that you have to worry about.
Because Nagy could have run for mayor after year 1.
I mean, coach of the year. And then next thing you know, your offense is nowhere to be found. And then that was an issue. And so now people are questioning him already in year 2. We're about to head into year 3. So it's difficult now. You have to have patience. These organizations, these fan bases don't have patience. They want to win now, especially in big-time markets.
All right, well,